Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome to today's Explainer. We're going on a really fascinating journey today, tracing the history of a place where dreams literally became pictures, and those pictures became the most powerful stories the world has ever seen. We're going to look at exactly how a simple, small wooden box evolved over the decades into a massive, global dream factory.
Here is our roadmap for the Explainer today. We'll be walking through 6 key eras: the birth of moving pictures, finding the California sun, sound and the golden age, surviving the television threat, the blockbuster revolution, and finally, we'll wrap up with the power of story.
Section 1, the birth of moving pictures. Let's move to and see how this builds, because we're looking at a massive century of technological leaps today. We're starting way back in 1880 with Thomas Edison trying to capture something completely new, spanning the Western migration in the 1900s, hitting the absolute shockwave of sound in 1927, right up to the modern blockbuster era kicking off in 1975. It all begins with what Thomas Edison and his team over in New Jersey called the kinetoscope. And honestly, it was exactly what it sounds like, a small wooden box. You had to look inside it, completely alone through this tiny little glass window. And what did you see? A tiny, flickering moment of movement. It might have just been a man sneezing or a horse running. It lasted only a few seconds. But for the people peering into that box, those few seconds felt like absolute magic. An entirely new art form was being born right there in the dark.
Section 2, finding the California sun.
As we roll into the early 1900s, the film business is starting to grow, but filmmakers slammed right into a massive logistical wall. Most of the money was on the East Coast, New York, New Jersey, but the weather, it was awful for filming. Cold, rainy, and for months at a time, completely impossible to shoot outside. They desperately needed reliable sunshine. So they packed up, traveled west, and stumbled upon this quiet, simple town filled with orange trees, Hollywood. The light was perfect, the mountains were right there, and the weather was an absolute dream for filming year-round. Now, those early days in Hollywood were remarkably humble. We're talking simple buildings and really simple cameras. The films they made were entirely in black and white, and they had absolutely zero sound. But here's the amazing part. Even without color or spoken dialogue, those early silent films possessed this incredible power. They bypassed the ears and spoke directly to people's hearts. And audiences all over the world were just completely captivated by these visual stories.
Section 3, sound and the golden age.
So the silent film industry is absolutely booming, but there is this massive disruption looming on the horizon. It all came down to a single, unasked question. What would happen if the pictures could speak? Just pause and think about that for a second. The entire art form, everything they knew, was built on visual expression and silence. Actually answering this question was going to change the entire trajectory of cinema forever. The answer finally arrived on October 6, 1927, with a film called The Jazz Singer. On screen, the actor Al Jolson opens his mouth, and the audience clearly hears his voice as he sings. The reaction was monumental. People in the cinema literally couldn't believe it. Some cried, others laughed with total joy. The talkies had arrived, and practically overnight, the silent era just vanished into history. This technological leap catapulted Hollywood right into its golden age through the 1930s and 40s. You had massive studios like MGM, Warner Brothers, and Paramount pumping out hundreds of films. We got global icons, Charlie Chaplin, Cary Grant, Katharine Hepburn, Humphrey Bogart. And think about the timing here. During the incredibly harsh realities of the Great Depression and the Second World War, the cinema was providing this warm, beautiful, desperately needed escape for millions of people.
Section 4, surviving the television threat.
Fast forward to the 1950s. The world is settling into post-war life. And suddenly, a brand new machine lands right in everyone's living room. It posed a truly terrifying question for the studios. Is television going to kill the movies? Sure, this new TV box was small, and the picture was just black and white, but it was free. And you didn't even have to leave your couch. As a result, cinema attendance absolutely plummeted. Small theaters closed up shop. Studios were hemorrhaging money. It was a genuine existential crisis. So the crucial point is, Hollywood didn't just roll over and give up. They launched a massive counterattack by thinking bigger than they ever had before. They gave audiences what that tiny little television screen simply couldn't. Enormous color, huge breathtaking landscapes, and giant screens. We're talking massive epics like Ben-Hur, The Ten Commandments, and Lawrence of Arabia. They proved that the cinema was a special, totally immersive event worth leaving the house for. Hollywood adapted, and slowly but surely, the audiences came back.
Section 5. The Blockbuster Revolution.
Then we hit the 1970s, where some young directors with totally boundless imaginations step in and redefine the industry all over again. They created the blockbuster. This turn blew up in 1975 thanks to Steven Spielberg and a terrifying mechanical great white shark. Jaws wasn't just released, it was an event. They showed it in thousands of cinemas across America at the exact same time, which was a completely new release strategy. People waited in massive lines. It made unprecedented amounts of money. It was a true cultural phenomenon.
Following right on the heels of Jaws, George Lucas gives us Star Wars in 1977. And man, that wasn't just a film. It was an entire world that audiences loved so deeply they watched it again and again. This totally paved the way for the 80s and 90s, an era packed with incredible hits like E.T., Indiana Jones, The Lion King, Titanic, and The Matrix. These weren't just movies anymore. They became a shared, beloved part of global culture, pushing the boundaries of technology with every single decade.
Section 6. The Power of Story.
And this brilliantly illustrates the core framework to Hollywood's success. Look past the tech shifts and the massive profits for a second. Over and over, they face an existential threat, whether it's bad weather, a lack of sound, or television. Then, they adapt to or invent new technology to survive it. And finally, they use that technology to evolve the story. Hollywood is way more than just a physical place in California. It's an idea. It's a dream that literally never stops moving forward.
And there's a really powerful takeaway here for you, the focused learner, perfectly captured by this quote from our source material. Every time you stay with a story to the end, you are doing something important. Just like Hollywood's century of sheer resilience, engaging deeply with information, listening, learning, and sticking with the narrative structure, it builds patience and a much deeper understanding of the world. It's how we connect to complex ideas and ultimately to each other. Which leaves us with a final question for you. Even when the world changes rapidly around you, how will you keep telling your story? The lesson of Hollywood is pretty clear. Keep going, keep adapting, and keep creating. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I really hope this look back helps you grasp the incredible evolution of cinema, and more importantly, I hope it inspires you to embrace the power of story in whatever you decide to do next.